Happy New Year! And it has been a while since I put on my tinfoil hat, hasn't it? What with Digimon Con 2024 coming up in a couple of months, and it feeling more likely we'll finally get information on the next Digimon Story Game, either at Digimon Con or through another Digimon channel, I've been looking over the facts and the lore that this upcoming game will have, and if I'm right, I'm about to spoil Kazumasa Habu's big twist before we even know what the game is called. Sorry in advance. This video contains spoilers for Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, Digimon Survive, and maybe the next Digimon Story Game if I'm not completely wrong. And Future Karn here, I wanted to jump on real quick. No sponsor in this video, don't worry. But if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I would love to be able to get my silver play button at some point in the near future. And also, I am going to be at MegaCon Live in London, January 13th and 14th. I am an official convention guest. I understand most of you are American, but if you're in London, you're attending the con anyway, please do come up and say hi. I'm also going to have some panels and things that I'm going to be doing at MegaCon Live. Very exciting opportunity. So if you're going to be there or you're thinking about going, let me know and I'll see you there. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome to 2024 and the channel that I had to kickstart with something stupid. So I've been ruminating on this for a while now and I want to put it out on Front Street. This is just a theory, a Digimon theory. But ever since Habu made it clear that the next Digimon Story Game would not be part of the Cyber Sleuth series and instead would be focused on the Olympus 12, my brain got worried. And my theories on Digimon games are about 50-50 at this point. I nailed the fact that Digimon Survive is an homage to Digimon Adventure, a reboot, remake in some ways of Digimon Adventure. Me and Tom were about half right on our evolution predictions. We kind of assumed that all evolutions would be karmic and they weren't, which honestly it should have been. And I was completely wrong about the Kemonogami, but hey, let's establish some facts. The next Digimon Story Game is in development, has been in active development for like almost as long as Digimon Survive. Habu reiterated that it was still in development at the last Digimon Con. We know that it is about the Olympus 12, and Habu has stated that it will predominantly take place in the digital world, more similarly to things like Digimon World or indeed Digimon Story Dawn and Dusk, as opposed to Cyber Sleuth, which did have a big Eden focus, which is a digital world of sorts, but also spent a lot of time in the human world. We have also had Olympus 12 Digimon feature prominently in a Digimon Story game before. Dawn and Dusk's Coronamon and Lunamon are the rookies of Apollomon and Dianamon, who DNA Digivolved to Grace Novamon, all a big focus of the next Digimon card game EX set, Animal Colosseum. I don't personally think Animal Colosseum is any hint as to kind of the Olympus 12 focus of the next game. It came out much earlier in Japan, is coming out January, February in English. It could sort of be a hint as to what's coming, but I think more so it's just a reference to past stuff, the old V-Pets, Digimon Dawn and Dusk, and maybe just a refresher of Apollomon and Dianamon for people, in case they don't know about them in time for the next game to get fully revealed. And then from facts, we have more nebulous details. There was some hints during the promotion of the Digimon World Next Door reports that we'll see Coronamon and Lunamon again. There was this t-shirt which conspicuously showed off Coronamon and Lunamon. But would they make them main partners again? Cyber Sleuth is our most recent story game and that went for an initial one partner setup, but you could expand your party from there. I wonder if this new Digimon Story Olympus, Iliad, whatever it might be called, might revert back to a system similar to Dawn and Dusk, where you had Coronamon or Lunamon and then a pack of starter Digimon. There's certainly something interesting to think about, though I think I would personally prefer either brand new Digimon created for this game. I love how Digimon Liberator and Digimon Seekers have brand new rookie partners. I think doing the same for a Digimon Story game would be a great jumping off point, but using Coronamon and Lunamon I definitely wouldn't be mad at. They are the two kind of main Olympus 12 rookies. The next stage up we have is Aegiomon, a majorly important Olympus 12 Digimon who hasn't really showed up in much Digimon media accessible to Western fans. It's an adult or champion level that gets to branch into the many Aegiacusmon, blue, black, green, and holy, plus the default Aegiacusmon, before eventually becoming Jupitermon, a prominent member of the Olympus 12, again not really seen in story games and Digimon products outside of Asia. It has showed up in some things, including Digimon New Century. We'll get to all that in a minute. Aegiomon's Digimon reference book listing states, a deity Digimon with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a mountain goat. And the reference book listing for its Aegiacusmon evolutions all share the same beginning, which states, a deity Digimon that synthesized the abilities of various species using a human human body as its base. Some of you are probably already seeing where I'm going with this, but if you're not, don't worry, strap in. But I do want to jump back before we get to the reveal to explore where I think Habu may be going with the themes and eventual twist of this next game based on the things he has already created. Habu and his team. I'm going to use Habu as shorthand for the kind of creative vision of Digimon games, but obviously many people develop these video games. So first of all, if we look at Cyber Sleuth, the last major set of story games. Story and World are two different sub-franchises within Digimon games. So Digimon World Next Order, while technically the most recent port to come out, is not the most recent story game. It's not a story game. A major theme that was explored in Cyber Sleuth is what does it mean to be a human? Again, as I said in the intro, spoilers for Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. At the onset of the game, our human character becomes basically a digital life form, reconstructed from the data of themselves that is inside Eden. We see the Eaters, an enemy faction of sorts that is again a digital life form, not Digimon, not human, something else. Eventually, Eaters merge with humans, resulting in forms like Eta Arata. And then we have multiple late game reveals that prominent characters of the story were acting as vessels for Digimon, revealing their true forms as Royal Knights such as Alphamon and Lord Nightmon. Habu clearly likes this theme. He likes a twist or reveal, and specifically likes that twist to be pertaining to the form of a human or Digimon. While Digimon Survive is its own thing again, distinct from story or world, it's still a Habu game, and as such you can see this theming threaded through that game too. Spoilers for Digimon Survive. In that game it is revealed that who we thought was Haru, the younger brother of Miyuki, was in fact Miyuki's partner Digimon Renamon, taking the form of Miyuki's brother, and her actual brother was in fact the old professor the whole time. Meaning basically we got two twists pertaining to Haru. Twist 1, he's a Digimon. Twist 2, the real Haru is an old man. The nature of human and Digimon. A twist reveal involving humans and Digimon. And the age, the physical appearance of someone that we know being revealed to be fundamentally different in a shock twist. Shock-ish. I'm going to be honest, another thing that is a problem with a lot of Habu games is that a lot of these things you can really see coming. It's not even the only time that a Digimon takes human form in Survive. We get an homage to Digimon Adventure 02 when a woman who definitely isn't Arukenimon shows up and then, yeah, is revealed to be Arukenimon. That one was less of a shock, even from promotional material, which is why I somewhat feel more confident in my theory. This idea of humans and Digimon or digital life forms merging to become something greater, whether it be Erika and Wormmon becoming Hoodymon in Hacker's Memory, the Eta forms in Cyber Sleuth, or even the merging of Miyuki and the Master and his Kemonogami minions in Survive. It's a recurring and deliberate theme. In fact, this theme was also explored further in Digimon Survive in a dark ending, where an on the brink of death Aoi could basically biomerge, revisiting the concept from Digimon Tamers, which Digimon Tamers was also a pretty big inspiration for Survive, hence the Guilmon early order bonus, with Aoi and Labramon becoming Plutomon. You know how Aegiomon and Aegiacusmon's reference book listings don't say humanoid, but specifically reference them being spliced with humans? Throughout all his games, Habu has done this. A gameplay or story element of one game will inform something in his next game. Sometimes it's minor, sometimes it's more significant. Again, not a story game, but produced by Habu, Digimon Adventure on Sony PSP had this battle UI, and then 2 years later on the PlayStation Vita, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth had a battle UI incredibly similar to it. But for example, you can see the DNA of how Kuremi turning out to be Alphamon, kind of, is a similar idea to the reveal that Haru was a Renamon the whole time. Habu is clearly someone who spends time to research Digimon lore, and someone who takes a little something from each project with him into his next one. He also pays attention to the whole franchise, not just things that he's worked on. This is why Survive takes on so much of adventure, but like I say, has some elements of Tamers. Guilmon order bonus, Renamon being a party member. And I think that inspiration from Tamers could go even further if we look at things like Miyuki, that possessed form feeling very evocative of the D-Reaper Jerry from Tamers, which again is the concept of what is a human, what is a digital life form, what is a Digimon, all being merged together to the point where you don't know whether that's the real Jerry or a D-Reaper Jerry. Isn't it interesting, this idea of godlike creatures taking human form, but not always just human form? In the extended Digimon media, there is also precedent for Digimon taking animal form, in things like Mirai's cats, who are white and black cats, and actually Lady Devimon and Angelwomon. But also outside of Digimon games, the Cross Wars manga had animal forms for a bunch of those Digimon. But how can this be applied to the Olympos 12 and the new Digimon Story game? Well, first off, the Olympos 12 are a merging of Greek and Roman depictions of essentially the same gods. They will use, for example, the Roman names, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, but make reference to the Greek side of things. For example, the server of Iliad and Homeros are a reference to the Iliad written by Homer, which is Greek. And these pantheons had a recurring fixation on a similar gap. If Habu is obsessed with the difference between human, Digimon, and digital life form, Greek and Roman mythology had a big focus on the difference and the merging of human, animal, and god. Gods would regularly take forms to wander the earth and interact with humans. Sometimes animal, sometimes human, with one of the most famous examples. Zeus, in an attempt to get freaky with human women, would take the form of geese, ants, bulls, and even the women's husbands to get with them. Total creep. But you can see how those themes start to line up, right? We have Habu's recurring interest in Digimon and humans blurring their lines, Digimon taking human form, humans merging with Digimon or digital life forms, and you have Greek and Roman myth where gods take on human forms, animal forms, and breed with humans, which is, I guess, the ultimate biomerge. Oh god. Also, while of course it isn't part of Greek and Roman myth, Percy Jackson just came out on Disney Plus, not Spawn even remotely, and its focus on demigods I think is a good illustration of the kind of pop culture perspective of Greek gods. I think the concept of gods and demigods being a key element of an Olympus 12 themed Digimon story game would make sense to me. I'm not for a minute saying that Habu is going to take direct inspiration from Percy Jackson, but more that Percy Jackson is a pop cultural indication of how we view Greek myth and Roman myth to an extent. This idea of demigods, of heroic champions, exists in Percy Jackson, also exists in Greek myth with Perseus, Theseus, these humans or demigods like Hercules, who are often the protagonists of Greek stories and are reinterpreted or completely invented for pop culture and modern fiction based on Greek and Roman myth. And that's where I think Aegiomon will come back into the fold. It's where Aegiacusmon and Jupitermon, Jupiter, the Roman equivalent of that randy asshole Zeus, starts to make sense. Aegiomon and Aegiacusmon are constantly referred to in their context as being similar to humans. And more than just that, Aegiomon has been the protagonist of a Digimon game before, Digimon Crusader. To quote Wikimon, Aegiomon is the protagonist of the game. He was born in Digital World Iliad and originally was Jupitermon, one of the Olympus 12. But at some point he became Aegiomon and lost his memory. During his journey in the server of Yggdrasil, he encounters various trials that will test his potential and help him remember his true destiny. And as I've touched on, another thing Habu loves, other than referencing his own stuff, is paying reverence and homage to past Digimon media. Sometimes things aren't a reference to a past media as much as they are a franchise staple. Think of it like Sid from Final Fantasy. While technically every Sid is a reference to the first Sid, it's more so now that Sid, the names of summons like Ifrit and Shiva, are a recurring element of that franchise and more a thing that you do and less a reference to a thing from the past. So certain things like the Iliad server, Homeros, the nature of Jupitermon, Aegiomon, and Aegiacusmon are not just things to reference because of Digimon Crusader, but key lore elements of the Olympus 12. And seems so obvious to me that Habu would take something lesser known like Digimon Crusader and do something reinvigorating with its storyline. In Crusader, Aegiomon is always Aegiomon, but if we were to use Aegiomon again, how could we spice things up? I think it would be so in Habu's wheelhouse to use the next Digimon story game releasing worldwide to reference some elements of Digimon Crusader, a much smaller Asia exclusive game, but put a new twist on it, especially as Digimon Crusader's service terminated almost 10 years ago in November 2014 in Japan, so a large amount of Japanese Digimon fans either never had access to Crusader or haven't been able to play it for a decade, and the service ended in 2016 for the rest of Asia, so again, it's not like this story of Digimon Crusader is still around and easily accessible. That puts a big gap since our last game focused on the Olympus 12 and the Iliad server, and that wasn't even a console game or even a handheld game. I want to make it clear though, unlike Digimon Crusader, I do not think Aegiomon is going to be the main character, the person you control in the next Digimon story game. I think we're going to be our little self-insert again, with a partner Digimon, maybe Coronamon or Lunamon, but I think we are going to have a human friend in that game, one who doesn't get a partner Digimon. A silver-haired school friend who perhaps looks like Ephema from Kingdom Hearts. But at some pivotal moment in the plot of this Digimon story game, this truth will be revealed. In the human world, he just looks like any other human, but in the digital world, he becomes Aegiomon, a troubled amnesiac who doesn't know his true origin and what powerful god he can become. However, slowly throughout the game, I think Aegiomon will learn how to digivolve with our help. I mean, again, to look back at Percy Jackson, it's exactly what happens with Grover. Seemingly just a school friend revealed to be a satyr, which is exactly what Aegiomon is. Okay, so I'm only vaguely aware of Percy Jackson, and again, I do not think Habu is going to lift a plot element from Percy Jackson on purpose, but that correlation I think is so likely and probably could happen because of the Digimon reference book's focus on Aegiomon and Aegiacusmon not just being humanoid, but being literally part human. I just think Habu couldn't pass up the opportunity. It would give him that opportunity to build on a concept he's used before. Humans being revealed as Digimon, Digimon taking the form of humans, and would make Aegiomon a battle assist, whether it's just a party member or acting like a summon or something from a Shin Megami Tensei game, which again, I don't know whether Habu took direct inspiration from SMT and Persona for Cyber Sleuth, but it certainly certainly is a parallel that has been drawn and could be an inspiration for a game. If you consider in this situation your regular Digimon party comprised of 3 Digimon, let's say, then Aegiomon, Aegiacusmon would function like personas. Do your regular attacks, your special attacks, but also being able to tag in or summon your persona. Or it could be something like a Final Fantasy game, specifically Final Fantasy X, where again you have your party members you battle, then Yuna summons in Valifor, Ifrit, Shiva, etc., and they have their own special moves for a limited period of time. This again could be exactly what Aegio and Aegiacusmon do, each with different elemental attacks which are crucial in battles. Then in a climactic, important battle, a narrative moment mid-combat, Aegiomon finally knows who he is, a god of Olympus. And similar to that awesome cutscene where we get Omegamon in Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Aegiomon, Aegiacusmon digivolves to Jupitermon, giving you access in battle to a mega OP god Digimon to decimate a previously seemingly unwinnable boss fight. I think this just makes sense to me. With its depiction in Digimon Crusader, an official Bandai art making it look so heroic, poising it as a Digimon hero, Aegiomon has been set up very early days to be a prominent narrative character, and I think focusing on the Aegiomon, Jupitermon, maybe even Jupitermon's lover, Junomon, side of the Olympus 12 would be a way to make this new Digimon story game feel distinct from the last Olympus 12 featured story games, Dawn and Dusk. A much more Greek, epic, fantasy-feeling digital world, in comparison to the very cyberscape-feeling Cyber Sleuth games, but also Dawn and Dusk. A world more similar to the worlds of Digimon World, with sprawling vistas, locations inspired by Greek and Roman myth. I also think Aegiomon has been weirdly sidelined a lot in Digimon media. It would be an absolute no-brainer for Vital Bracelets in the card games. Having multiple evolutions of different colours fits in perfectly with V-Pets in the TCG, and yet he's not been seen, which to me kinda indicates that they're specifically saving him for promotion for the next Digimon story game, at which point they can put him into V-Pets, Vital Bracelets, and the card game, along with all of his evolutions, Jupitermon, Junomon, to proc off each other, whatever it may be. Isn't it crazy that we've had Junomon cards, we're about to get Coronamon and Lunamon, but Jupitermon is nowhere to be seen? This card game loves doing card synergy, and Junomon and Jupitermon in the lore are lovers. Why would you not have put Jupitermon in the card game yet, unless you were saving him for promotion? Same with the Vital Bracelet. The big staple partners like Wormmon and Vmon showed up a lot in the Vital Bracelet and the card game, but it took until they were promoting Digimon Adventure 02 the beginning them to really put a big push onto Hawkmon, Armadillomon, the rest of the 02 ensemble for that movie. I think you'll see something similar here, that when the Olympus 12 Digimon story game gets announced or is coming out, we will see more Aegiomon, Aegiacusmon, Jupitermon, other members of the Olympus 12 in the card game. A lot of them are in there already, but there's not really an Olympus 12 deck archetype like Coronamon and Lunamon are about to get. It folds in Habu's thematic and gameplay elements that he has explored, revisited and owned with each new Digimon game, and would be something genuinely shocking for the audience. I mean, unless a stupid Digimon YouTuber spoiled the whole thing months before the game came out. Again, I'm sorry if this all turns out to be true. You may ask why the player character couldn't be Aegiomon, and personally I would love it if we ourselves did turn out to be Aegiomon. It just feels unlikely. Habu likes to make playable characters that yes, go through events of the story, but are still easy for us to project ourselves onto. Aiba, Keisuke, Takuma are hugely important characters in their stories and do affect the worlds of their respective stories. It's often other characters that undergo fundamental change or have shock reveals to their characters. While Aiba and Takuma, even Keisuke, do go through stuff, Aiba goes through quite significant stuff, for the majority of the game, your status quo isn't changing. On a gameplay level, it's easier. It means we can have our own partner Digimon, digivolve it throughout the game, and the game designers don't have to worry about locking us into a specific partner or evolution branch. Even in Survive, while we were locked to Agumon, we got to branch our evolutions from there. It's also much easier for the game designers. When the player is familiar with what their avatar looks like, you can guide them through storylines much easier than if the player character's appearance, nature is constantly changing. So in this hypothetical situation, we would be a player character experiencing our own story and Aegiomon's story, but still gives the game pivotal moments, like I say, Ita Arata, Nokia discovering her partners, Haru, Miyuki. If our main character's kind of status quo remains easily identifiable throughout the game, it makes it easier for the player to insert themselves into that world and therefore care more about the other characters when they have pivotal reveals. So that's the theory. In the next Digimon story game, a prominent protagonist character will turn out not just to be important, but the most important character, who, alongside us, the player character, will save the digital and human worlds when it is revealed that he is Aegiomon, the pre-evolution of the Olympus 12 member Jupitermon, and perhaps the lover of Junomon. I think the game may also involve uniting the other members of the Olympus 12, either for the first time or picking up the pieces of a scattered Olympus 12 after some catastrophe cataclysmic event. We'd then have echoes of the Cyber Sleuth plot, where the Royal Knights were scattered to the winds, and when Agumon and Gabumon became partners with Nokia, remembered their true form as Omegamon, Alphamon and Lord Nightmon taking human form. Perhaps the Olympus 12 also take human form, or create some kind of demigod. The Eaters merging with humans in Cyber Sleuth could be reworked to be literal demigods, half human, half Digimon existing. And tying back to the idea of Digimon being able to take human and animal form, maybe some of the Olympus 12 are animals. And I mean, hell, it wouldn't take much for Venusmon to pass as a regular human woman, you know? But you would still have to battle each of them to kind of bring them to their senses, perhaps. This giving the game opportunity to create different areas for each god. A big, fiery forge for Volcanusmon, a sleazy pit of scum and villainy for Bacchusmon, and something heavenly and perhaps a little seductive for Venusmon. It goes on. Battling to bring them back to their senses, just like we had to do to the sovereigns in Digimon Survive before they would eventually allow us to recruit them and become evolutions for our partner Digimon. Something similar could happen with the Olympus 12. They could either join our party, become unlocked evolutions, or just become part of our side in the narrative against the threat to the digital world. That threat could be other Digimon, could be humans, or digital life forms, which we've seen in a bunch of Digimon games. Lost Evolution, Cyber Sleuth, even Survive had the Kemonogami. It wouldn't surprise me if this game also had some sort of digital life form faction commanded by a Digimon or another thing that we don't know the true nature of. Hell, Plutomon and Titamon are both enemies of the Olympus 12, and we do have that Digimon Crusader art of Jupitermon going head to head with Plutomon. Habu experimenting with Plutomon being a biomerge, a human and a Digimon combining to make Plutomon in Survive could be a direct nod to Plutomon being a major player, antagonist, enemy, rival turned friend in the next Digimon Story game. It's definitely super tinfoil hat of me, but how interesting is it that the next game to technically follow Survive was the port of World Next Order, and Bolt Boutmon originally debuted in World Next Order. Two alternate ending evolutions in Survive, Bolt Boutmon and Plutomon, could be legitimate hints at the future of Digimon games. World Next Order Bolt Boutmon, Olympus 12 Plutomon. And so that becomes the core of this story. The player character and his friends end up in the digital world, where eventually one of them is revealed to be Aegiomon. You go on your quest, you reunite the Olympus 12, and your friend becomes one of the strongest Digimon in the digital world, which lets you all together save the human and digital worlds. But hey, that's just a theory. A Digimon theory. But no, I kind of do in some ways hope this comes true. I think the idea of Aegiomon being a sort of like early or mid-game reveal of a human protagonist who weirdly doesn't have a Digimon companion. Again, we've explored this idea where Nokia doesn't initially have a Digimon partner. You're fairly certain she'll get Digimon partners, but it takes a while for her to actually be partnered with her partners. Partner. That would be a fun way to flip that on its head, perhaps thinking that a character is going to be just like Nokia, someone with no Digimon partner, and you're just waiting for them to get their partner, when, surprise, it's actually a Haru twist. Your friend isn't going to get a Digimon partner, they are the Digimon. I think it would be good, even if I have accidentally spoiled it, and this is something that happens in the next Digimon Story game, I still want to see it realized, so I think it'll be exciting either way. But also, it is just a theory, it could be completely wrong, and I'm fairly willing to say it will be wrong, but I'm going to hold out hope, and hey, if it does turn out to be the case, if somehow there's a reveal of a human becoming Aegiomon in any way in the next Digimon Story game, I can say I told you so. Time after time, we'll strike again. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my sovereigns, DDK14, Jmon, and MickeyD343, as well as all my other channel members. I hope you're all having a wonderful new year, and I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye-bye!